You are 24 years old. You have $47 in your checking account. Not because something went wrong this week, just because it's the 19th, and payday isn't until the 22nd. You're not in a crisis. You're not behind on rent. You're not drowning in debt, at least not yet. You're just here, living 3 days at a time, watching the number in your account like it's a countdown instead of a balance. You make $38,000 a year, which sounds like more than it is, after taxes, after rent, after the car payment, after the subscription you forgot to cancel, after the credit card minimum. It's gone. Every single month, it's gone. And the strange part is, it doesn't feel like a problem. It just feels like life. That's where this starts. You share a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Your half of the rent is $720. You drive a 2018 Honda Civic you're still paying $280 a month for. You work in customer support. You eat lunch at your desk most days. You're not unhappy. But there's a number that quietly follows you around. Not $47. A bigger one. 0. You have 0 savings. Not emergency savings. Not retirement savings. Just 0. And the uncomfortable truth is, if something went wrong tomorrow, a medical bill, a car repair, a job loss, you don't have a plan. You have a credit card. That's where most people are. And most people stay there far longer than they plan to, but not everyone does. This is the starting point for most people in their early 20s. 0 saved. Full income. Full spending. Life feels fine until it doesn't. At this level, every unexpected expense is a problem. A $400 car repair means a credit card charge you'll pay off over 3 months, and you'll pay $60 in interest to do it. A trip to urgent care costs you 2 weeks of breathing room. The strange thing about level 1 isn't the money, it's the mental weight. Every decision carries a hidden cost calculation. Can I go to this wedding? Can I afford to get sick right now? Can I say yes to this weekend trip? You don't notice the weight when you're carrying it. You only notice it when it's gone. It takes you 8 months. You start moving $125 a month into a separate account you don't touch. Not a big decision, just a small one, made quietly. By month 8, you have $1,000 sitting in an account you haven't needed to touch. Something shifts. It's not life-changing. You're still making $38,000. You still check your balance before buying groceries. But one afternoon, your landlord raises the rent by $80, and instead of a wave of anxiety, you feel nothing. You handle it. That's new. The first rule of saving isn't about the number. It's about what the number does to your nervous system. $1,000 doesn't make you wealthy. It makes you slightly less afraid, and slightly less afraid is how better decisions start. 2 more years pass. You've been quietly consistent, not aggressive. You didn't cut everything. You just stopped spending on things you didn't care about. The subscriptions went. The random online orders slowed down. You started cooking 4 nights a week instead of 2. Your income went up a little. You're at $44,000 now, and you have $5,000 saved. At 27, this is the level where something fundamental changes. You don't like your job. You haven't liked it for a while. But before, you couldn't do anything about it, because leaving meant a gap in income and you had nothing to absorb it. Now you have 5 months of runway if you need it. You don't quit. But you start interviewing, calmly, without desperation, and because you're not desperate, something different happens. You negotiate. You get a new job at $52,000, and you walk away from the old one without a single moment of panic. That $5,000 didn't pay for the new job. It paid for the version of you who could afford to hold out for it. You're 29 now. 2 years into the new job, you moved up to $58,000. The raise felt good, but you didn't change much. Same apartment. You have a place to yourself now. Same car, same habits. But you've been consistent, and the number grew. $15,000. You open a brokerage account. Not because you understand everything about investing, you don't. But you put $300 a month into a simple index fund and you leave it alone. The second rule is this: money that sits still decays. Not because of inflation, though that's real. Because of psychology. The moment you can see it, you'll find reasons to spend it. The moment it's moving somewhere with a purpose, it becomes harder to touch. By 31, your investments are at $9,000. The savings account holds another $15,000. Your total net worth is somewhere around $24,000. That's not impressive to most people, But to the version of you at 24, staring at $47 until the 22nd, it would feel like a different life. 33 years old. It took a while. But you're here. $50,000 between savings and investments. Your income is $71,000. You live well, but not carelessly. You took one real vacation this year. You have a car payment that ends in 4 months, and you've decided not to replace it. Here's what changes at this level. It's not the number. It's the questions. Before, the question was, can I afford this? Now the question is, do I actually want this? That sounds subtle. It isn't. Every spending decision your whole life has been filtered through scarcity. What can I afford? What do I have to say no to? What's the minimum? At $50,000, those questions go quiet. New ones replace them. Is this what I want my life to look like? Is this job actually worth my time? What am I building toward? You realize the money didn't change your life. It changed what you were able to think about. You're 35, and you're watching two groups of people you know move in completely different directions. The first group spent their 30s trying to catch up. New cars, bigger apartments, keeping pace with a life that always cost slightly more than they made. Some of them have higher incomes than you, but they're still living 3 days from the edge, just with better furniture. The second group, a smaller group that got quiet around 28 or 29, stopped comparing, stopped performing a version of success for other people, and now, at 35, they have options that most people won't have at 50. You're in the second group. Not because you were perfect, because you were consistent. There's a moment, and it doesn't announce itself, where money stops being something that happens to you. It's not when you hit a number. It's not a specific account balance or a birthday or a raise. It's a Tuesday afternoon when a bill comes in and you don't check your balance first. You just pay it, and you move on. That moment feels small, but somewhere underneath it is a decade of small decisions that didn't feel like they were adding up to anything. Until they were. You didn't become financially untouchable by doing something dramatic. You just stopped being financially fragile. Level by level, year by year, without ever needing it to be a big story. You're still 24. Still $47 until the 22nd. But now you know what level 2 feels like. And level 3. And what's waiting beyond that if you stay consistent long enough. The question isn't whether you can afford to save. It's whether you can afford to keep living at level 1 for another 5 years. That answer is different for everyone, but most people already know what theirs is.